This is As to Preaching by Hermann Hagedorn. Poets are always asking, why can't I preach if I want to? Why, if I write a pure lyric today, can't I write a sermon ode tomorrow without gathering on my head the anathema of critics? We do not need to talk of art for art's sake to answer the question. All expression is preaching, an endeavour to inform a comrade spirit of a truth or seeming truth which the preacher's spirit has achieved. But there are two methods of conveying this truth. One is to appeal to a man's intellect, and by process of reason and stimulation to mental activity, to arouse his inner self to an understanding of the new conception. That is the method of the priest in the chancel. The other method is to recreate and transmit, by the medium of words or music or painting or sculpture, the actual experience which has originally brought the truth to light in the preacher's own soul, so that another will find the truth for himself. That is the poet's method. The priest's method is indirect, unable to transmit to another the actual experience which has been vital to him. He tries to reach the spirit by way of the mind. The poet's method is direct, and ultimately the only effective one. Men do not learn as they are taught, they learn as they experience. The poet who sermonizes, therefore, is for the time being denying his gift of direct utterance and voluntarily taking the cumbersome indirect way. Pulpit orators come and go, the best of them, men like Wesley, Beecher, Philip Brooks, leave a volume or so behind them which is forgotten, as all commentary is ultimately forgotten by all whom life is an adventure rather than a series of theological problems. The only preachments that live are those imaginative outbursts of temperament and clash with life, which we call, according to their outward form, poetry or music, sculpture or painting. What pulpit orator or moralizing poet indeed can compete with the C major symphony of Beethoven, or even with so seemingly slight a thing as, what avails the sceptred race, what the form divine, what every virtue, every grace, Rose Aylmer, over thine, Rose Aylmer, whom these wakeful eyes may weep but never see, a night of memories and sighs I consecrate to thee. In lines such as these, in Heine's songs and in Catullus, in the Ode to a Nightingale in Shelley's, swiftly walk over the western wave, spirit of night, out of the misty eastern cave, where all the long and lone daylight thou wovest dreams of joy and fear, which make thee terrible and dear. Swift be thy flight. Or in Goethe's Über allen Gipfeln ist Ruhe, in allen Wipfeln spürest du kaum einen Hauch. Die Vöglein schweigen im Walde, warte nur balde, ruhest du auch. Or in Wordsworth, I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high o'er vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils, beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. And such lines lie the only sermons that really matter, for they fling open the windows of God's high palaces and give us a glimpse of the calm glories within. All expression truly is preaching, and preaching one thing: harmony from chaos. There are many folk these days who are planning in their own way to remake the world, and a horde of poets among them. For the poet, alack, must have his sociological theories packed down and salted, or the critics will have none of him. So we are deluged with tracts in rhyme, and critics there are who will praise them, and call them poetry. And with it all, we are like to forget that one faraway lyric outburst, the greatest social sermon ever preached. The fowls of the air have their nests, and the foxes their holes, but the Son of Man has not where to lay his head. Of all who preach to man, the artist alone has a touch of the eloquence of God, for it is given him to reject dry, logic-chopping words, and speak his wisdom through the divine medium of trees and birds and stars, and the eternal passions of men.